raised his hand, and he said, you know, you talk about how violent this culture is, and I just don't see it. There's no violence in my life. I'm not violent myself. I don't see any violence. And it's significant to this story, by the way, that it was a man who said it, not a woman. And I said, okay, where's your shirt made? And he looked and it was made in Bangladesh. And I said, do we even need to talk about that? He's like, no. I said, okay. And also, I'm just wondering, do you pay rent? He's like, yeah. I said, why? He said, because I don't own? I said, no, what would happen if you didn't pay rent? He said, well, I get evicted. I said, what does that mean? I don't understand. What happens when you get evicted? And he said, well, a sheriff would come to my house, and he would... I said, stop right there. What happens is the sheriff comes to your house, and you say, hey, I was just getting done cooking dinner. Come on in. Have some food. So the sheriff comes in, sits down, and you cook him dinner, and you feed him, and you don't poison him. And then after dinner, you say to him, you know, it's been nice having you here, but your company's not all that pleasant, so I would like for you to leave my home now. What would happen? He said, well, the sheriff would take out his gun, and he'd say, I'm here to evict you. You gotta leave, because you didn't pay your rent. I said, so the reason you pay rent is because if you don't, some guy is gonna come to your house with a gun, and he's gonna kick you out of your home. He's like, I guess. I said, okay, let's try it again. What happens if you're really hungry, and so you go to the grocery store, lots of food there, you know, and you start eating. What's going to happen? So we're going to call the sheriff. He's going to come in. He's the same guy. He's a real asshole, isn't he? The sheriff's going to come and take you away. So what this means is that in order for you to survive, in order for you to have a place to sleep, a place to be, you have to pay somebody. And in order to eat, you have to pay somebody. It's really weird. And if you don't, somebody with a gun is going to come and do something bad to you. So part of the reason that a lot of us don't see the violence is because, well, part of the reason is a different subject. Part of the reason is because a lot of the violence is exported. I was doing a talk in Massachusetts a few years ago, and somebody said to me afterwards, you know, we now are living way more sustainably than they did 100 years ago. And I said, how do you know that? He said, because there's a lot more trees here in Massachusetts than there were 100 years ago. I said, yeah, it's because you're getting all your wood from South America. And so a lot of the violence is simply exported. And then the other part of it is a lot of us don't perceive this violence because we've been so metabolized into the system and we so accept its premises that there's no need to do violence to us because we're standing straight in line. But of course, if we step out the tiniest bit, gotta watch out. Oh, but we're not gonna do that. Okay, now we go to the fourth premise. This culture, civilization, this I think might be my favorite premise of the book, is based on a clearly defined and widely accepted, yet often unarticulated hierarchy. Violence done by those higher on the hierarchy to those lower is nearly always transparent, invisible, it's unnoticed. When it is noticed, it's fully rationalized. Violence done by those lower on the hierarchy to those higher is met with is unthinkable. And when it does happen, it's met with shock, horror, and the fetishization of the victims. And there's so many examples of this. One example.
So yeah.
So do you want to
Culture of fear. That is definitely the theme on that one.
I like the way that sounded with the music. Definitely, the music like slows me down enough to pay attention to the points he's making. Do you have any other pieces you want to play? I kind of want to play this Bukowski poem.
Yeah.
So.
Do you want to kill the music to put the Bukowski down? Cool.
Yeah. I'll transfer one to the other. So the reason I want to play this Bukowski poem, and it's pretty short, but I want to play it because it reminds me of Sean, and just like his really beautiful but kind of depressing view of the world.
Born like this, into this, as the chalk faces smile, as Mrs. Death laughs, as political landscapes dissolve, as the oily fish spit out their oily prey. We are born like this, into this, into hospitals which are so expensive that it's cheaper to die, into lawyers who charge so much it's cheaper to plead guilty, into a country where the jails are full and the madhouses closed, into a place where the masses elevate fools into rich heroes. Born into this, walking and living through this, dying because of this, castrated, debauched, disinherited because of this. The fingers reach toward an unresponsive God. The fingers reach for the bottle, the pill, the powder. We are born into the sorrowful deadliness. There will be open and unpunished murder in the streets. It will be guns and roving mobs. Land will be useless. Food will become a diminishing return. Nuclear power will be taken over by the many. Explosions will continually shake the earth. Radiated men will eat the flesh of radiated men.
That's my favorite line.
The rotting bodies of men and animals will stink in the dark wind. And there will be the most beautiful silence never heard. Born out of that, the sun hidden there, awaiting the next chapter.
Okay.
Nice.
So, do you want to just play that burial again, or should I pick some other background?
Yeah, burial's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm into just playing.
I like this quote.
I'll drop it down.
We're all going to die, all of us. What a circus. That alone should make us love each other, but it doesn't. We're terrorized and flattened by trivialities. We're eaten up by nothing. That's Bukowski.
That's really good. Yeah, we should
I say
do.
praise him.
We should do we could do a Bukowski tribute podcast for sure,
Definitely.
and have Sean hang out with us. It would fit really well. Have Sean rant, and then we'll play a Bukowski spoken
This
word
person
piece.
was saying, like, it's so beautiful what he says, but it offers no hope for us. And it makes me think of what Sean was saying as well, because it seems so, like, pessimistic and dark, and, like, there's no, end to the suffering when you paint it like that. But I think that is empowering, and confronting it, talking about it, dealing with it is, like, that's moving forward. That's less suffering. That's more truth, more realization of, like, what's really happening. I think half of the problem is confusion, and the rest of it is we're addicted to, like, really just being lazy and modern conveniences and just being, like, numb and jacking ourselves into the machine and not really, like, dealing with our true self, with our inner self. We're more just acting, role-playing in social environments, trying to, you're trying to get laid, you're trying to meet somebody, or you're going to work, or you're trying to find a job, trying to appease the corporation or the business.
Trying
you
to fall asleep,
know,
but you can't sleep. You're just trying to stay awake, but you're so tired. Yeah. It's shitty, but like in Bukowski,
time is ticking, and there's always something the computer's got to be doing here in this system.
Yeah, the Bukowski thing to me, it's like he brought people to this ugly place, like this Skid Row, shitty place where really, really unattractive, kind of broken down men and women are drinking, and
but
it's like
something true. It's revealing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
He's like,
light on something.
look at this. This is more
yes.
beautiful and more relevant and more profound than your life.
I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not trying to like make a fiction or a drama to entertain you. This is more. Here's this thing that you missed while you were living in this world.
Yeah, and it's I think of any art that's like that, like gangster rap. I feel like it takes you to this place where. This world where you make sure your doors are locked when you go by it, like that you're so afraid of. Well, there's actually like men are really being men and like crazy shit is happening here that society ignores, like these insane crimes happen here. You know, you start romanticizing the drug dealer, and it's like, wow, I never would have fucking thought of that. Bukowski is kind of like that. He's taking you to this dark place that most people will go, you know, miles out of their way to avoid, and showing you that there's poetry in it. And like hip hop is the same thing. People don't like Bukowski just like they don't like hip hop. It's like, how dare you, sir, with your just ghetto talk, and you're like fucking, you know, you're just normal speak. Like Bukowski just speaks like a normal guy. He doesn't use a lot of huge words. He's really blunt. Yeah, not a lot of build up, you know, telling you how dramatic shit is in his life. He like reports, and you kind of like let the words.
I don't think making things really complicated or like very intellectual or very scientific, it makes it any more real for people. Like you really have to, you really have to relate. And there's some people who can do that, and you can do it with simple language. You can do it with very little words at all. Like this, you don't need so much of this other bullshit in these language games that are just a front. They're just memorized things that, you know, if I use this, if I say this right here, it's going to have this effect. They're defense mechanisms. They're all reactionary. And then when you're amongst your friends or people you trust and love, you're kind of more real, and you just, you know, you don't play that game as much. It's not as much role playing. There's just kind of more your true self. But even still, there's a deeper, private, like really dark, isolated self that you don't share with anybody, and I think everybody's got to fucking deal with that. Everyone's got to confront.
We don't have to deal with that. We have to deal with the people who.
Self doing?
Yeah, there's the shadow self, and then there's the people who have no friends. Like there are people who have no really close friends. They maybe have like one semi-abusive friendship.
Right.
Or something,
they're likely to create society or create friends inside their brain and like hallucinate. Like they're likely to be really schizophrenic and kind of just live in, I mean, to not kill themselves, they create some fantasy where they are connected or do relate somehow to the world.
I would say the internet changed the world for people in that situation. Yeah. But it's like, it's us, you know. I know if I went several weeks of just working my job and just going home and not really connecting with a friend like in a deep, meaningful way, I would probably start to feel the effects of the job more. I would start to feel like I was coming unhinged, and it would suck. I don't know what the hell life would be about, but it's like it seems like we're able to get by. If life is decent enough outside of work, we're able to still keep doing this job. But I don't think any of us has really found any kind of truth if we're still working a day job that we hate.
Right.
I really feel that way, so which means I feel like I'm not really in touch with the truth.
Yeah, but the fact that you're confronting that question and looking at your situation from outside of the pattern and the habitual thing that you do, and then to analyze it and to flip it and say, like, this is actually me who's doing this, I'm accepting this, I'm doing this, I do have valid reasons for doing this at the time.
It makes things more interesting,
I'm not
right?
doing something else is because what, you know? I mean, instead of just being in the dream, repeating the pattern over and over, you're like looking at the pattern and saying, where does it come from? Why do I do it? And is it worth it? And is there, I mean, it seems like you're concerned with another option, an alternative, like another way.
Yeah, or just being able to, whenever you feel your ego grab the wheel and steer you in this insane direction, whether you're picking yourself apart or you're pumping yourself up in a situation where you've actually fucked up and, you know, like convincing yourself that you haven't hurt anybody, or if you're just doing that to yourself, if you're just like, you know, blah blah blah, you've done wrong, you're telling yourself that, like,
you've been abused as a kid, you've been traumatized, so the job being a traumatizing, abusive relationship, it just feels pretty natural. Like, this is kind of the way it works. People fuck you over. You just have to do shit for people. And you get a paycheck. You get some bread. You know, you can keep going.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's okay to be shitty to people when you're feeling shitty, but it's terrible. The whole thing.
You're missing out on this whole other thing where you could be contributing, and you could be interlinked with fucking everything. All the good things that you feel like this society has, you could have them all the time, and everyone could equally have them and share them. Like, there is the possibility that could happen.
Yeah, you could completely hurl yourself, like Mother Teresa style, into nothing but helping everyone and just sleep on this fucking street and beg for money to try and help feed people and just go around tending to people and caring about people and hugging them and shit, and you would probably be way happier than any call center job / roommate situation or live-in, spouse situation. It really doesn't matter. Like, you could be happier. You could even be happier as a couple doing that shit together.
I think we should plan some sort of like reunion, like on a small scale, do like an Austin reunion of humans, of people who just like
every
this
single person
city space. Yeah, I just think that's
the entire city reunite.
It's kind of a fantasy thing, but I think the concept of a reunion just between man is a pretty awesome thing. I mean, that makes me think of Gandhi and stuff. That makes me think that it's very possible. That we could all like.
How do you picture this reunion of man?
We do it so that we can reconnect with the family and get rid of all the divisions that are between men and women and just humans. Like, mankind comes together, uses the internet, uses all of our communication technologies and
all available resources.
Yeah, exactly. We do that. We collect it and we have a family reunion. It can be virtual. And everybody kind of like put it all out on the table. Like, this is who I am. This is really who I am. I finally want people to know this is my true story. I'm actually really lost. What the fuck are you doing? Oh my god, I'm lost too. Like, this has been my map that I've been following, but the whole time I thought it was false. And really, I have fantasies about this other world where we could live. And oh shit, me too. But mine's this way. And either way, that conversation needs to happen. And everyone's just accepting the current operating system that's going on right now, and just like, we're just gonna use this because it's fucking popular, it's the shit that's working, and then if we use this, we don't have to make our own anything. And then I think that's what we're missing. I think the animal primal, like us, is like has a void in it, and it needs to be filled, and this artificial fucking stuff is not working. We still crave the other thing, and we need a more integrated part in our lives, and we need that connection to the natural world. We need to, have this sacred relationship with our food and our energy and how we get it, and like have respect for it, and not be able to just take it for granted and press a button and just throw it and have food fights and just do ridiculous things and waste shit and fucking hurt ourselves and hurt each other just because we don't have anything else to like stimulate ourselves, or nothing seems real anymore, so we're fucking each other up and fucking up ourselves.
Totally. Like sometimes I will.
That all comes from like a lack of that real fucking wholesome like thing we used to have.
Nourishing humility and
everything was perfect in the womb, wasn't it?
Or even in just a time where people lived, probably tribally, remotely. Think of how close the community would be, how precious the old people would be, because they would have all the cool stories.
Yeah, they would do everything together, cultivate knowledge together, not fucking just suppress it from each other.
Nobody would just be like this fringe boy or girl, like even probably someone...
I mean, what does our tribe have? We have fucking Santa Claus and like the first fucking lie where you realize your parents don't know crap about religion or holidays or sacred shit, and they tell you some fucking like supernatural story about some guy, and you learn about materialism, and then you find out it's not even true, and this is just some magic. What is this? Does anyone know where this even came from? This is a dumb fucking holiday for happy consumers. This is stupid.
Yeah, it's all fucking stupid. People work. I heard some guy at work was like, "Man, I fucking hate Christmas. It's like wrapping presents that I can't afford, like the time that I don't have." Or I was just like, "Oh, that's so miserable."
Yeah.
Like, what if you just
compared
hang
to
out?
like what we were talking about, the other type of tribal life where it's like you have a family, you support each other.
Where every day is the best
Your world
Christmas
is
ever,
like
yeah.
paradise. Yeah, Christmas is every day. Look, you can just pick this shit off the ground and we'll take it home tomorrow and like
Yeah.
we'll have a fire and we'll eat this together and
Every human being you know, you can bare your soul to at a moment's notice. And if you're crazy, they have a shaman that will eradicate. Like,
we care about you. There's medicine for this.
There's a shaman that will take
head.
that demon out of you and fucking fix you up, lickety split.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the origins of this and take it out of you. We're not just gonna numb it so you ignore it.
Yeah, and if you're fucking crippled, then we'll bring food to you because that's how we roll in this like tight little circle in the rainforest 2,000 years ago.
Because we are interconnected. We're interdependent.
Yeah.
We just play mind games with ourselves to tell us that you're a unique individual who does X, Y, and Z. I'm this formula of that thing, but
this version.
We are affecting each other and interconnected, and we just like to fucking keep this little private thing we call the ego, and it has its ulterior motives, and it has its like little dark world it plays in our closets, and all of that bullshit is created from fear. It's created from fear and like being dominated. We're scared, so we hide things in. We're worried and fearful, so we repress an emotion we think might get us hurt or eaten. It's like a defense mechanism. It's all these reactionary defense mechanisms that you're basically programmed to have from school, from church, from just being in this economic system and having to, you know, participate in the game and being born into it, and, you know,
being tired, having dreams about work, being, you know, as things.
And what does that connect to? Like, some people's jobs connects to absolutely nothing. It has no like circle of life, like spiritual deep thing. It's more, it's meaningless. Like, it's contributing to fucking a wasteland of just like the military-industrial complex and the weird, you know, drugs and games it throws out at us to entertain us and keep us pacified and docile and just in the cheapest, most efficient way possible. That's the key, and that's why there is like this whole fucking poverty thing, and that's why we pretend to have no clue how to fix the issue and how to fucking make everything work with the however 7 billion people who are here. No, we can't possibly do that. We got to take care of this giant fucking gambling game going on, this giant fucking like chess game going on between world powers about resources, and really you people are just resources. You're just like, you know, pawns in this fucking game we're playing, and at the end we're all gonna cash in, so we gotta stick to this thing. There's no other way. This is the way.
Yeah.
We
That's
have to
exactly
see this
how
out to the
I feel.
collapse.
It's like, what am I really doing if I'm just feeding this machine that I have no faith
You're just
in?
collecting chips, and that's what keeps you bonded to it. You think, oh, but I've invested all this money, I invested all this time, I have all of this built up. It's like, what is that though? That could just I could burn that up, and then where are you? What can you do with your life?
I feel no sense of investment in it, but I'm still gonna go to work on one day because I don't know how to feed myself.
Yeah,
I don't know how to. I don't know how to fucking feed myself, and I don't know how to get property without a bunch of money. I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know how to make plumbing happen.
It's a
I don't
really
know any of that shit.
high tech, like technological world, very sophisticated, built up around us, and we don't understand the laws that govern it. You have to like go to a private school of law for most of your life to really understand every nook and cranny of our complicated system. And then you have the compounded fucking brainwashing of school and like mainstream media and your like authority figures, people fucking who you're supposed to listen to and you're supposed to like, you know, obey. All of that contributes to having this this fear and this reactionary behavior and this very like I don't know, you become passive, and you know,
you get like soft souls. You get these kind of soft, semi-rotten souls that just medicate and just sort of get by, and maybe like use something to help them sleep, use something to help them smile, use something to help them be productive.
Yeah.
Doing something they fucking despise.
I think, when I was listing all those things, I was thinking of all of that is like, you have to balance that out in your head with the other reality of that. That's like, that you don't have to fucking just conform, that you don't have to just listen and obey. You have to have, it's all patterns, it's all programming, and with all that conditioning coming in from all those different directions, if you want to if you want to get out of Plato's cave and see the light, you have to reinforce other patterns. You have to erase those sequences that they're programming you with better ones, and with ones that, involve more truth, and those other things will fade away, and you realize I'm not really locked into this prison totally. Like, if I use my mind this way and get out of this pattern that I've been doing with my mind, my whole fucking perspective changes.
You'll get a vacation from your own bullshit, just like a shaman and the Navy SEAL guy and the OG Indian dude probably are. I don't know about the Navy SEAL guy. I don't know what the fuck those guys have to deal with. I'm sure it's not like shamans and old school Indians.
No, but just somebody who could...
But just somebody
they could
real, genuine, hardcore.
They could survive in a rainforest, a jungle, in nature.
Doesn't have an ego fucking
make their
with
own,
them,
yeah.
But
They'll
you would
make their
get
own
that.
shelter,
You get that
they'll
temporarily.
hunt their own
Like,
food.
if you do something like totally selfless and hurl yourself into something like, I'm just gonna be really fucking nice to this person, or I'm gonna do this volunteer thing, or I'm gonna just fucking whatever. I'm gonna be nice to somebody who obviously needs it. Then you get a little break from the bullshit in your head because it's like you get distracted by doing this nice thing, and that must be what it's like for the shaman all the time. Like you don't have to hear the inner voice that drives you.
Just that you're here, it's a good thing for people around
and
you.
you're a fucking phenomenon, and you're this amazing being.
Just that you're here is good enough, and it's
yeah,
powerful.
it's one in a billion trillion that this could even happen for you, and you're in this amazing thing that's happening. Who knows? It might be a simulation. It might be the Big Bang is the most amazing thing that ever happened. Maybe the Big Bang itself is a simulation, and it all plays out like the coolest fucking puzzle ever. And you get to be a part of it. You get a shot, you get a chapter in this whole fucking thing. You get a footnote at least, and it's an exciting thing. And that's like, to feel that all the time. And just know, like, you could probably even feel that at a call center. You'd be like, wow, it's amazing to touch a keyboard. It's amazing to talk to a human being and help them through this minor inconvenience and this hopefully very minor part of their life.
Right.
But it's not always like that. People come at you like this little thing that you're doing your job is the point of your job. This little thing in their life has destroyed their life,
right.
And they're like, I've got to take away your dignity because your company has somehow destroyed my life.
Yeah, definitely.
And so you deal with that.
It's just a reflection of what they've grown up with, what they've been conditioned by, like the way they've been treated by
Or it could just be
others.
the shittiest day of their life, and they called you on the shittiest day of their life.
Sure.
And they're really this adorable creature.
Yeah.
That you're just...
I mean, I feel like when people get pissed off and people get, like, outraged, they're channeling something that's coming from the same place of, like, we're all human. Like, there's this energy of being fucked over that everybody can tap into whenever they want. And when you get pissed off and fucked over, you're channeling, like, the being fucked up feeling of mankind. They're just like all of like, this demons, is for every man that's been fucked over. I'm so pissed at you. I'm gonna take it out on you right now because I've been holding in that really we're all fucked and we've been fucked over so much. And you just reminded me like that we do that still. Fuck us, man. You reminded me that humans still fuck each other over. God damn it.
Like I don't know. I don't know if you've ever called a girl that you've never met before in your life, like a cunt, like just like once you hit that switch and you're like willing to say anything, it's just the sky's the limit, It's like you've turned it off. It's all about your rage, and you're channeling the anger of a million demons, that exist that exist before you and through you and after you, of jealousy, of rage, of feeling cheated, and just the sickness.
Openness and honesty is the key. It'll just cause some pain and suffering for a while for some things, but some of it when people are open and honest, you're like so fucking happy. You're like, great, that explains the chaos in our relationship. I just now put that together. I didn't know that you were hiding that fact. That's a fundamental thing of this relationship.
Yeah.
And things have been a little wonky, and you just clarified that for me, so I'm happy. Instead of being like, fuck you, you were hiding that from me? Fuck you. You should be happy. Like, you just gave me a gift. Like, now I see more light. I see more truth because you're being open and honest.
Here,
yeah, sanity is gained from that. Instead of this artificial thing where, like, you detect something's wrong and you know something's wrong, that person's holding something, and instead of cause friction or cause static, it's something that's working, you just ignore it, so everything's okay. Like, I just want the relationship to go smooth, so I'm going to ignore that. And that's the beginning of the problem.
The dumbest thing.
Yeah, and then you do some irrational explosion later that just like comes out of fucking nowhere.
Or you like punch a wall.
Yeah, that's a good image of the whole collective like mind right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of series of those things, and it's got us kind of like beaten down and like worn down and exhausted.
And there's no wonder like the crimes that we have today. Like this quote I heard or read the other day was, and I don't know who it's from, but it's the society gets the criminals it deserves. And I feel like the crimes that are making the news lately, it's like, well, it's no wonder the way we spin our wheels all the time that this crazy shit is happening. Like, people can't go see The Hobbit without getting massacred. Like, people can't go drop their kids off at a daycare without having them be slaughtered by some... I don't know. I haven't really ever read these news stories because I don't want to get consumed by it. Like, I don't want to get... You know what I mean?
Definitely.
It's not happening in my immediate tribe. Like, I should be aware.
We know how extreme it is and how sensationalized it is, and it's almost like fucking...
I don't need to see pictures of kids that got shot in the face.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's not going to help. I know it sucks.
It's like our war on terror that's actually... It's like the real war on terror that's happening that no one's talking about is like, school shootings and fucking like man-on-man violence and these random crazy things.
It's random crazy, and then it's like we just like reheat it over and over again. We repeat. It's like it's like you.
It's American Idol.
It's shoved back in your face through news so much that you get syndromes. Like there were kids that had post 9/11 syndrome because the media coverage was so saturated with images of people jumping to their death from burning buildings. It's like we probably fucked up a few 100,000 kids with that shit, with that media coverage.
Definitely.
We do the same thing now. If you just leave the TV on, like on a news channel, I'm sure lots of people do that.
The 9/11 multimedia package that we got when that happened was like it was directed by like Peter Jackson or something.
Fucking compelling television.
Was fucking like repeated in a ritualistic way to fucking like just penetrate everyone's attention, and everyone was concentrating on that whether they wanted.
Not everybody had a cable modem. I certainly didn't. I was still dependent. I was still very dependent on TV at that time. So it was compelling TV.
What do we want?
Do you want to end it and we'll do another one at some other time? I feel like this went pretty long.
Okay.
Yeah, how long is that in hours?